The chapel in Dallas went still the moment my mother's voice sliced through the air. "You changed your name." She did not whisper it. She delivered it like an accusation, loud enough for the front pews to stiffen. Serena blinked at me from across the aisle. Dustin froze with his hands half stuffed in his pockets. Even my father paused mid-step, clutching the memorial program as if it had turned sharp. I held my own copy tighter. The paper was warm from my hands, the black ink crisp above Aunt Ophelia's photo. Guest attendee, Iris Rowan, not Calloway. My mother stared as if the name itself betrayed her. "You did this without telling anyone?" "I did," I said. My voice came out quiet, steady. "There was no one to tell." Her jaw locked. A tiny pulse jumped in her temple. "We are still your family, Iris." I looked at the single empty seat beside me, the chair labeled family. No one in the Calloway line had taken it, not even now. "I came for Aunt Ophelia," I said. "Not for a discussion." Dustin shifted angrily. "You blindsided us. That's messed up." I met his stare. "You were busy. You always are." Serena opened her mouth, closed it, then tried again. "It feels extreme, Iris. A name? That is permanent." "Aunt Ophelia understood permanent," I murmured. She showed up. My mother's lips thinned. "You cannot make a scene here." "I am not." I kept my gaze on the front of the chapel, where lilies framed the small picture of the only woman who wrote to me every birthday. "You called attention to me. I just sat down." For a moment, none of them spoke. The silence between us thickened the way humidity does before a storm. But the service attendants were beginning to guide guests to their seats, and the Calloways finally backed away, stealing glances as if I were something unfamiliar. I exhaled slowly. "If you are still reading, stay with me. You may find pieces of yourself in the quiet parts of this story, the parts families pretend not to see." The organ began its low hum, and I turned my face toward the front, letting their shock settle behind me like dust. I was 13 the first time I realized disappearing came easily to me. Our house in North Dallas buzzed with noise that never seemed to belong to me. That afternoon, Serena was practicing a piano piece for her school showcase, each note bright and demanding. Dustin was racing through the hallway with a football tucked under his arm, shouting for my father to watch him sprint. I stepped into the kitchen holding the certificate from the regional robotics competition. "Mom," I said softly, "they announced winners today." Elaine barely glanced up from adjusting Serena's performance sash. "Sweetheart, hand me those pins. Serena needs to look polished." "I earned first place." I tried again. "They gave me this." Serena twirled once, admiring her reflection in the microwave door. "Can we do this later? My hair is frizzing." My mother pressed the sash flat. "Iris, hold Serena's cardigan. She cannot wrinkle it before we leave." I stood there with the folded sweater in one hand and the certificate in the other. Dustin snatched an orange from the counter and grinned. "Sis, robotics sounds cool, but Mom's stressing. Let her finish." Elaine nodded absently. "Yes, Iris. Please do not start anything." "Not today." I swallowed hard and tucked the certificate into my pocket. The paper crackled. Loud to me, unheard by anyone else. When we finally piled into the car, Serena took the front seat and asked for the good playlist. My mother reached back and touched Serena's knee gently, the same way she always did. No one asked about the robotics competition again. Later that night, Aunt Ophelia called. "How did your presentation go, sweetheart?" I hesitated. "It was good." "Did they celebrate you?" I glanced at the cardigan I had folded neatly on Serena's chair. "They were busy." Aunt Ophelia sighed softly, not scolding, not pitying, just understanding. "Then celebrate yourself. Never wait for someone else to decide you matter." Her words settled inside me. I did not know then how often I would return to them, or how sharply they would echo years later. By the time I reached my last year of high school, the pattern was already carved deep. I still tried, though. Hope is stubborn that way. On graduation day, I stood in line with the other seniors, scanning the bleachers. Parents waved signs, Siblings held flowers. Friends shouted names. I kept looking for the 4 faces I needed most. Serena finally appeared halfway through the ceremony, her sunglasses pushed on top of her head. She slipped into a seat beside my mother as if arriving late were a casual choice. When my name was called, I stepped onto the stage. I searched the crowd again. My father lifted his phone as if to record, but he was still settling into his seat, still unscrewing a bottle of water he must have bought on the way in. After the ceremony, I approached them. "You missed the beginning," I said. My father capped his water. "Traffic on the tollway was awful." Serena shrugged. "And you know Mom needed her latte. The line was insane." Elaine frowned as if inconvenience were a personal attack. "Iris, must we start the day this way?" I closed my mouth. The power in the conversation had already shifted back to them. When I left for UC Berkeley that fall, I promised myself things would feel different. I had earned a departmental award during my 2nd year, an achievement the faculty said only a handful of students managed. I texted my family a week before the ceremony. Serena sent a single heart. Dustin replied, "Nice." Elaine said, "We will see." The night of the award ceremony, I kept checking the entrance. Students were posing with their parents under a string of lights. A professor approached me. "Your family running late?" I forced a smile. They had something come up. When the ceremony ended, I walked outside with the small envelope holding my award. I called home. No one answered. Serena texted me a photo of a dinner plate from some restaurant in Dallas with the caption, "You would love this pasta." She had posted it 10 minutes earlier. I sat on the stone steps near the engineering building and rested the award beside me. A group of classmates passed by laughing, their families trailing behind them. My phone buzzed once. Aunt Ophelia. "How did it go, Iris?" "It went fine," I said. "It was just quiet." She paused. "Some people stay quiet because they are small. Some stay quiet because they are carrying too much." I laid my palm over the envelope. I did not say anything more. I did not need to. By my final year at UC Berkeley, I had learned to manage my expectations. Still, when my advisor emailed to confirm the date of my research symposium, Saturday, April 21st, 11 in the morning, I sent the news to my family with cautious optimism. I typed, "This is the biggest presentation of my PhD. I would really like you there." Serena reacted with a sparkling heart emoji. Dustin sent, "Cool, congrats." Elaine replied 3 hours later, "We will try, sweetheart." I told myself that try was enough. 2 weeks before the symposium, during our usual Sunday video call, I mentioned it again. "Iris," Serena said, adjusting her hair on screen, "I have a friend's engagement brunch that morning, but maybe I can pop in for the end." Dustin laughed from his backyard. "You know how weekends are." "I have a barbecue planned with some friends, still figuring out the time." "That weekend?" I asked. "Yeah," he said. "Why not?" I looked at him through the pixelated image. "I told you the date last month." He shrugged. "People can do both things if they want, Iris." Elaine touched her necklace. "Sweetheart, it is just one event. Serena has so much going on and Dustin has been working all week. Do not make this bigger than it is." I muted myself for a moment before speaking again. "I am not making it bigger. It is important to me." But the call had already moved on. Serena discussing travel plans, Dustin ranting about grill temperatures, Victor silent in the corner of the frame. 3 days before the symposium, Dustin posted a public invitation on his social media. "Saturday BBQ Bash, 11 to 3. Everyone welcome." My chest tightened. I called him immediately. He answered with music pounding in the background. "Hey sis, you scheduled your barbecue at the exact time of my presentation." He paused. "Wait, what time is your thing again?" 11. "Oh, well, people can swing by after. No big deal." "It is my PhD, Dustin." He exhaled, impatient. "You always act like everything is life or death. It's just school stuff." "It is 8 years of work." "Well, I am not canceling. Everyone already knows about it." When I hung up, my hands were shaking. The morning of the symposium, I stood outside the auditorium rehearsing the opening lines of my talk. My phone buzzed. My mother's voice spilled out, bright and distracted. "We are all ready at Dustin's. You should come by later. Serena brought a pecan tart." I closed my eyes. "Mom, it is today. 11. I told you." "Oh, sweetheart, do not be dramatic. We will celebrate after." "There is no after," I said quietly. "Not like this." She sighed as if I had inconvenienced her. "Just present your little project. We will catch up later." I hung up. Inside the hall, colleagues found their seats. My advisor nodded at me with a warm, steady smile. When my name was announced, applause rose. I walked to the podium, each step carving a new truth into me. They had not forgotten. They had replaced me. The realization landed without rage, without shock, just a clean, cutting certainty. I lifted my notes. My voice did not tremble. That night, after the symposium ended and the building emptied, I walked back to my apartment with the quiet pressed against me. My colleagues had congratulated me. My advisor had hugged me. None of it reached the place inside me that had been waiting for 4 familiar faces. When I closed my apartment door, the silence settled like something final. I set my bag down, opened my laptop, and stared at the screen for a long moment. Then I created a new folder on my desktop. Liminal. The word felt right, something between what I had been and what I was becoming. I clicked it open and whispered to myself, "Start." I searched the county clerk's website and downloaded the name change petition. The document filled my screen, long and procedural. I whispered the name under my breath. Iris Rowan. The syllables steadied me. My phone buzzed. A message from Elaine appeared. Elaine. "How did it go? We are still at Dustin's. Things got loud." I typed one sentence. "It went fine." 3 dots appeared. Then vanished. She did not reply again. I turned back to the document. The instructions were blunt. Proof of identity, proof of residency, notice of publication. I highlighted each line, committing myself to every requirement. Then I opened a spreadsheet and divided my life into lists. Accounts tied to my birth name. Accounts that would need updating, documents requiring reissue contacts to remove. The structure calmed me. Order had always been my anchor. As I worked, another message arrived, this time from Serena. "Serena, sorry we missed it. Brunch ran long. Send pics?" I stared at her words until they blurred, then closed the notification without responding. I moved my research files to a new cloud drive under the Rowan name. I deleted the old one. I changed my primary email. Then I opened one last folder, Ophelia, filled with letters and little voice notes she sent me over the years. I left that untouched. Near midnight, I whispered the name again. Rowan. It no longer felt borrowed. I printed the petition. The printer hummed steadily, grounding me. When the final page slid out, still warm, I placed it into a manila envelope. I was not erasing myself. I was stepping out of the frame they had forced me into, and for the first time in years, the silence in my apartment felt like something I had chosen. The approval letter arrived on a gray morning, tucked between a utility bill and a flyer for discounted moving vans. "Your name change petition has been granted." I traced the words with my thumb. No fanfare, no ceremony, just a simple confirmation that the person I had chosen to be now existed on paper. By the end of the week, my Seattle apartment looked more like a temporary campsite than a home. Boxes stacked by the door, a single mug on the counter. My new job at the environmental consulting firm was set to begin Monday. All I had to do was arrive as Iris Rowan. On my first day, my supervisor introduced me to the team. "This is Iris," she said. "She comes highly recommended." A man with dark-framed glasses offered his hand. "Miles Keaton," he said warmly. "I skimmed your desalination draft. You think clean water systems could support remote communities without massive infrastructure?" I nodded. "If the models are stable, yes." "You sound like you actually believe in it," he said. "Most people just present numbers." His tone held no judgment, just interest. It threw me a little. Later, while we reviewed baseline data, My old phone vibrated in the drawer of my desk. I had kept it only because I needed a few final verification codes tied to my old accounts. The screen lit up with missed calls. Dustin. 8 attempts. Serena. 3 calls, 2 texts. Elaine. 7 voicemails. I let the phone ring until it stopped. During our lunch break, Miles gestured toward the buzzing drawer. If that's family, you can take it. We have time. It is fine, I said. They are adjusting. He did not pry. He slid a data sheet toward me instead. You ready to look at water usage projections? That small act, choosing the work over the drama, felt like a kindness I had not known how to want. After work, I returned to my apartment to find a voicemail on my new number. The property manager from my old Berkeley building said, "Your family keeps calling for your forwarding address. Per policy, we cannot release anything without your written consent." I deleted the message. That night, I updated the last few records: medical, banking, payroll. The Rowan name settled into every digital corner of my life like it had always belonged there. My old phone lit again, screen flashing with Elaine's name, stubborn and insistent. I powered it off, placed it in the drawer, and closed it gently. In Seattle, the silence did not feel like abandonment. It felt like space. I was in the middle of reviewing a water reclamation draft when my new phone rang. The number was out of state. Iris Rowan speaking. A soft voice replied, "I am calling from Dallas Memorial Care. I am sorry. Your aunt, Ophelia Rowan, passed away early this morning." The room thinned around me. "Thank you," I managed. "Please send the service details." When I hung up, Miles glanced over. "Bad news?" "My aunt died," I said. My voice was steady in the way numbness often is. He stood slowly. "Take whatever time you need." I nodded, though grief had not fully landed. It hovered, waiting. 2 days later, I walked into another chapel in Dallas, the same city where my family still lived, still performed the roles they believed belonged to them. I signed the guest book as Iris Rowan. The name Ophelia once told me carried a softness she loved. As I moved toward the front, I heard Serena gasp. "Oh my God, she really changed it." Elaine turned, her expression sharp. "Why would you put that name on the program? Iris, you blindsided us." I held the booklet between us. "It is my legal name." "You did not tell us. You did not attend the moment I earned the right to decide who I wanted to be." Her eyes sparked. "Do not twist this into something cruel. We are grieving." I stepped aside as mourners passed. "I am here for Aunt Ophelia, not for an argument." Dustin approached next, jaw tight. "You could have warned us. Instead, you made us look stupid." I met his glare. "You did that without my help." He flinched. For once, he did not have a quick comeback. The service began before anyone could say more. The officiant spoke about Ophelia's kindness, her loyalty, the way she remembered everyone's birthdays, little details my family always forgot. When the slideshow played, I saw a photo of me and Ophelia at a tiny diner in Berkeley. She had surprised me during my first semester, saying, "Someone should show up for you today." The Callaways shifted in their seats when they saw it, as if they recognized something they had refused to acknowledge. After the service, Elaine followed me into the courtyard. "This is not fair, Iris. Families work through things." "Families show up," I replied. "You replaced me with a barbecue." "That is not true." "It is," I said, not raising my voice. "And now the systems I belong to, legal, professional, digital, they only recognize people who show up. You were not listed." Elaine stared as if I had spoken a language she could not translate. "You went too far." I shook my head. "I did not go far. I went where I was seen." Serena stepped forward, tears rimmed in her eyes. "We did not know it mattered that much." I almost laughed. "I told you, many times." Dustin stood behind her, looking smaller than I had ever seen him. "We messed up." I closed my bag. "I am not here to punish you. I am here to say goodbye to Aunt Ophelia." Elaine reached for my arm, but I stepped back. "Do not," I said gently. I walked to my rental car. Through the windshield, the Callaways blurred in the sunlight, their shapes shimmering, not close enough to touch, not far enough to forget. I put the keys in the ignition. No one stopped me. Seattle felt different after Dallas, quieter, but in a way that let me breathe again. On my first day back at the office, Miles paused by my desk. "You holding up?" he asked. "I am trying," I said. It was the truest version of an answer I could give. He nodded once. "If you want noise, I have new projections to argue about. If you want silence, I can pretend I never showed up." A tired laugh escaped me. "Let's start with the projections." Later that evening, I found an envelope slipped under my apartment door. My name, Iris Rowan, was written in Aunt Ophelia's looping script. My chest tightened as I opened it. "My dear Iris, if you are reading this, I am already where the quiet does not hurt. I know what your family forgets to say. I saw you trying to earn a place that should have been yours without effort. Choose a life where you do not have to beg to be seen. Choose a name that fits the person you have always been. And when the world feels too loud, remember I am proud of you. Always. Love, Ophelia." I read the lines aloud, letting each one settle. When I finally folded the letter, the room did not feel empty. A soft knock sounded at the wall beside my desk. Miles in the hallway, keys in hand. "Coffee?" he asked. "Or silence? You pick." I held the letter to my chest for a moment. "Coffee," I said. He smiled. "Good. Silence is overrated." But as we stepped outside into the dim Seattle evening, I knew silence was not my enemy anymore. It simply no longer belonged to them. A week after I returned from Dallas, my new lease agreement arrived. The landlord slid the papers across his desk. "Sign whenever you are ready, Iris." I uncapped the pen. "It is Rowan now," I said. He nodded, no hesitation, no confusion, just acceptance. I wrote Iris Rowan in a single, steady line. No pause, no tremor. When I stepped outside, the rain had eased into a thin mist. Miles waited near the curb, holding 2 cups of coffee. "You look lighter," he said. "I think I am," I answered. He handed me 1 cup. "So, staying in Seattle a while?" "I am," I said. "Long enough to build something real." Miles raised his cup. "To new names, then." I clinked mine against his. "To choosing them." We walked toward the small lake near my building, steam rising from the water like it was exhaling with me. As we sat on the low bench, Miles nudged my shoulder. "If you ever tell this story, tell it your way." "I will," I murmured. "And if someone needs to hear it, I hope they stay to the end." "Trust me," he said. "They will." I touched the folded letter from Aunt Ophelia in my pocket. My life was no longer something I waited for others to enter. It was something I stepped into, name first.